Guys, there are 3 inescapable truths that will change your life. Life has a way of forcing these undeniable realities onto us. Faith, finance, and health. Whether it's a health scare, whether it's a financial crisis you might be dealing with, or whether it's you late night pondering, thinking to yourself, is there something bigger out there? What happens after I die, right? These moments will come. And these moments are pain points, and they can spark curiosity. They can spark us to question things. So the question is, will we avoid it or will we embrace it? Right? And that's part of my mission. Part of my mission here is to share the information, to share the lessons and what I've learned so far in my current journey with you, so that hopefully it will be able to help you in yours, specifically related to those 3 things: faith, finance, and health. Because those are 3 things that truly I appreciate a lot, and I ponder them regularly on a daily basis. They're so intriguing to me. Today specifically, I want to talk about finance. And honestly, I want to start with a question. Now, let me ask you this. Do you know somebody that you love, that you truly hold close to you, that you care about, that's struggling with money, struggling with their finances? Do you know somebody that works super hard just to make ends meet? Even if you think you don't, statistics show that you actually do. Because let me tell you this interesting fact: about 77% of Americans feel some sort of stress or anxiety towards their financial situation. That's roughly about 3 out of every 4 people. So literally think of 4 people right now off the top of your head. 3 of them are stressed about their financial situation, right? And I'm not saying this to scare you or to instill fear into you. In fact, my goal is literally the opposite. I'm saying this because I know that we have the power to create change. I know that we have the power to literally change the trajectory of our lives. And it starts with the way we're thinking and the way we're speaking and the way we're acting towards money. And that's why I have this question here on the board, right? Because anytime that we talk about financial literacy, we have to consider this question: what is money? What money even is, right? And today, I really want to focus on financial literacy. How can we improve our financial literacy? How can we create a strong financial backbone? And how can we change our minds about money? And it starts with this question: what is money? So, let me ask you, what is money, right? Money is a tool. Money is a resource. We could even break down the word money. The Latin root of money is moneta, which stands for coin, which was one of our many currencies in history, right? However, I want to dig a little deeper, and I want to think about this law here. It's a natural law, and it's the first law of thermodynamics. So, first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed or transferred. So that is a natural law. It's an axiomatical truth, and it cannot be broken. It must be abided with, right? Money is energy. In the same way energy flows through systems, money flows through our economy. For example, I go to a coffee shop. Money flows from me to the coffee shop. In return, I get a coffee and I go about my day, right? We give our life force, our energy, in exchange for this printed currency that we call money, right? So money is energy. And because money is energy, we can either repel money away from us or attract money to us based on our energy, which is based off of the way we're thinking and the way we're speaking and our thoughts and our mindset towards money and the way we're acting towards money. And that's a super important foundational principle to remember throughout this entire time, because we're going to keep coming back to it. And it's the baseline of all of this information regardless. So it's super important to remember that. So money is energy. Now the question is, if money is energy, how do we make it, right? When I was first asked this, hey George, how do you make money? My answer was, you go work for it. Because that's what I knew. That's what I was taught, right? By society, by the people around me. And the truth is, it's not wrong. However, it's not the only way. there are other ways to make money. There's levels of making money. Specifically, there's 4 main levels of making money. And today we're going to be talking about the first 2. So, number 1, which is the most common and is what most of us do, is time for money, right? Number 2 is information for money. So, time for money. Like I said, this is what most people do. They work. This is what most jobs are in the economy, right? Time for money. You go work, you trade your time, and you get paid back for your time. So, time for money has 2 major issues. The first one is, in this level of money, we're dealing with a finite resource here, which is time. Now, what does that mean? Well, we only have a limited amount of time, right? If you were born, you're going to die, and that means that you only have X amount of time. So with time for money, our time is a limited resource, and it's finite. We don't have an abundance infinite of it. And the crazy thing is that most of us have different priorities that we have to do throughout our days. Most of us have families, right? We all have to eat, we all have to poop and pee, we all travel from place to place. So to begin with, our time is limited already. And now with time for money, when we're trading our time for money, we're capped because we only have so much of it. The other thing that's super interesting about time for money is that in the level of time for money, we get paid in proportion to the problems we're solving. What does that mean? For example, let's say you and I get hungry, so we walk into a place and we get a delicious organic meal to eat. The person at the counter who's serving us is essentially solving our problem. However, the problem we're facing at that moment is extremely minuscule. We're just 2 hungry dudes. It's really not that serious, right? So that person will be paid in proportion to the problem they solve. So how much do you think that person will get paid? Probably not millions of dollars a year, right? In the same sense, let's say you needed surgery and you had to go under general anesthesia for the surgery. Shout out to all my CRNA friends, right? That means you have to be put to sleep and then you got to wake back up and be alive and good to go after. So that's a much more significant problem considering your life's on the line. So the anesthesia team will be paid in proportion to the problem they solve, so they will be paid much more. So in time for money, your time is valuable, especially if you're solving bigger problems. So if you want to be paid more in time for money, then solve bigger problems and the marketplace will reward you in that sense. However, even when you solve bigger problems, your time is still capped, right? Like we said, even if you work 60, 80, 100-hour weeks, your time is still capped. And that's something really important to consider, because when we're here, we have to ask ourselves, is this scalable? Can we create wealth? Can we create generational wealth using only this? And the answer to that question is probably, maybe, right? But it will be extremely difficult, near impossible, if we don't tap into the other levels of making money. And that leads us to level number 2, information for money. So the super cool thing that I love about information for money is that every single one of us has an abundance of information. We all have information that somebody else might not know. We all have information that may be able to serve somebody else. Literally every single one of us knows things that are valuable to other people. And that's the super cool thing about information for money. We're living in this age of technology and information where the information we have can literally help people. And that is super awesome, and it's super important to consider. The other super cool thing about information is that it's not necessarily explicitly tied to time. What do I mean by that? For example, let's say you take 1 year to write a book. In that year, you work your butt off. End of the year comes, you publish your book. It took you a year to write the book, but now you can sell that book indefinitely. Once you die, your book can still make sales. Once your children die, your book can still make sales. So you took a year to write the book, but because it was information for money, the time is not explicitly tied to it, and it can continue on making you money for lifetimes, right? Who knows? That is super cool about information for money. So time is not explicitly tied to it, and there is an abundance of information that all of us have that we can share to other people. And through sharing our information, we can provide value to the marketplace. And inevitably, money will flow from those things, especially if you're doing something out of your heart that you want to help people with. So time and information, these are the first two. And with information for money, you really have to ask yourself this question. What is it that I know that can help someone? What is it that I know that someone else does not know? What is it that I know that can help serve somebody else? And if you harness your information and you garner attention, you take those combined and you can create value in this marketplace, and the marketplace will provide you back an abundance. That's just natural law. First law of thermodynamics, right? So these are the first two levels of money. Of course, there's level 3 and level 4 as well, which we'll discuss in the next video. If you found value in this video, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your time, because our time is the most important asset that we have. And the fact that you just spent it here with me means a lot, and I truly appreciate it, and I pray that it comes back to you in abundance. And I pray that the information that I presented to you here is valuable to you. If you liked it, if you hated it, if you agree, if you disagree, message me. Let's talk about this, because this is extremely important. And we have to be having these conversations. And I'm excited to hear from you guys. So thank you again. I hope that you found value in this. If you did find value in this, the only thing that I ask is to send it to somebody that you love. Send this to somebody that you care about. Send this to somebody that you know will take out the bits and pieces of value in it and will use it to their advantage. Thank you again. And I'll be working on the next one where we're going to talk about level 3 and level 4. And I'm super excited, and I'll see you guys next time.